You are listening to Arts on the Air, a bi-weekly-ish interview show dedicated to Savannah, Georgia's artists, musicians, and authors. Each episode will feature a guest in conversation about their philosophy, practice, and current projects, as well as their thoughts on the state of the arts in our community of Savannah. Our theme music is a clip of Summer Nights by the Eric Jones Trio. It's provided by our friend Mark Chesanow, who plays with the Eric Jones Trio. Hey everyone, welcome to Arts on the Air. This is Tamara Garvey, and I'm sitting down with artist Mary Carol Kenney today. Welcome.
Thanks, Tamara.
I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. And you are a new friend to me. You moved into the other hallway in my building on City Market recently. Mm-hmm. When did you move in?
The 1st of July.
Okay. Yeah. So you've completed 2 months now. You're
yes.
Freshly there.
Yes.
All right. Fascinating. Let me read a little bit of your bio. Mary Carol is a figurative artist known for her work in painting and mixed media, often drawing inspiration from her surroundings to explore themes of nature, people, and culture. So you said you were just telling me that you've been in Savannah for 3 years now?
Yes.
Right?
Well, yeah, 3.5.
3.5, okay. Where were you working and selling before you moved into your City Market studio?
I have a really nice studio space in my house.
Yeah.
And I was just working there. I'm a happy hermit.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy just working. That's the different thing about being in the City Market, because I'm not used to being on display like that. So I've noticed lately I'm building a little cave for myself back there so I could hide.
I relate to that for sure. Because before I moved into City Market, I wasn't in a different studio. I was just working from home. So it's like night and day. Mm-hmm. What made you decide to apply and move in there?
I sell at the park. I don't sell my paintings at the park. I sell prints and cyanotypes and T-shirts. I started making T-shirts. And sales got really slow, and it was really, really hot. And so I thought, I'll just try and do this. I needed an outlet for my paintings, too. Were
you going to City Market to visit around and talk to people there much? Or was it kind of a new place to you?
It was new, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like the only place in town if you were going to think about where you're going to apply and then be there working and selling all the time.
Yeah,
that's the place.
Yeah.
So when you got accepted, did you have a choice of different studios, or how did that go?
No, there was just one available.
Okay,
and so I took it.
Your place is beautiful. The woman who was there before was there for I think decades and had built it out where it's a lot more finished than a lot of the spaces where the walls is very gallery feeling.
It is, and they refinished the floors, and the walls are gorgeous. I love it. It's beautiful.
And you do have a little at the back of your place. There's
storage,
a little hideaway.
I know.
A little storage.
I thought about putting my chair back there.
You're really hiding.
Really hide.
How did it go for you with moving your things in and hanging it up and everything?
Oh, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. I'm a real morning person, so I would, load my car. I have a tiny little car, but I would load it up, just, make several trips before the parking got problematic. So, it was fine.
Do you still work or paint from home at all, or are you doing all of your
I
work
don't,
there?
But I'm thinking, I do this cyanotypes and silkscreen and everything at home. But I think I have a nice big easel at home. It's really too big to fit in my car, so I think I need to find somebody to help me move that there because I'm working on, I like to paint big sometimes.
Yeah.
And the little easels aren't durable enough for that, so.
How big is this piece?
Oh, this was not huge. It's, I think, 36 by 24 or something like that.
That's pretty good size.
Yeah.
Can you describe, so you mentioned the cyanotypes and the silkscreen. Mm-hmm. Can you just describe what that is for people?
Oh, okay. Cyanotypes are, you mix a couple chemicals together, and you have to do this in like low light because it's UV sensitive, and I paint it on watercolor paper, and then let it dry overnight. I do this speech all day long at the park, and then take it out. I make a large negative, take it out in the sun, and then there's a couple different baths that you put it through, and it's a blue and white.
Yeah.
It's
a cool look.
Chromatic.
It almost looks like night vision.
It does.
Tons of blue.
It does. That's a good description.
Thank you.
And I use like vintage photographs or photographs I've taken around town.
Yeah.
And then the other silkscreens are sort of pop art. I started out making, excuse circus people. And then one day I think I added Dolly Parton, and people went crazy for Dolly. So then I did Taylor Swift, and then so now it's pretty much all celebrities and with like op art behind them.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this because you almost have your two lines where you have your very painterly realism paintings, and then when you walk in your studio, you also have a section of like T-shirts and prints where it's these like single color pop art of like a celebrity with a design around them. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of fulfilling your different sides of you, basically.
Well, a gallery owner, when I was living in Texas, he was a gallery owner in Houston, and he said one time, he was also a figurative painter, and he said, because figurative painting is not that much in demand as much as like landscapes, he said sometimes you have to divide your art career in two. And so he painted little monsters and sold them. So I thought, well, this is my version of that. You know?
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Where were you living before Savannah?
And, directly before that in Maine, but before that in Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. Have you been painting like your whole life, or like wherever you've lived? Because I know you've moved around the U.S. kind of quite a bit.
Yeah. No, I had 3 kids. I was a single mom. So I would just kind of draw them when they were asleep and just try to sneak something in every now and then. Then I moved to Santa Barbara. Mm. And Santa Barbara had this unbelievable art school. You could take, and it wasn't just art, you could take anything. You could take auto mechanics, you could take psychology, movies, and music, and but they had a lot of art classes. And so you could have a 10, 12-week class, and it would be $10.
Wow.
I know. And,
what were the years that you lived there?
I don't remember.
This is in the 80s, or?
No, it was right after 9/11.
Oh, okay. So that recently the classes were $10?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was fantastic.
Well, it surprised me because Santa Barbara is like a beautiful, wealthy area.
Oh, I know.
But they just had these very inexpensive classes.
They just had, it was so incredible. And the teachers were fantastic.
Yeah.
And I took everything. Because I had been a seamstress, professional seamstress for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And did slipcovers and home furnishing things. And so when I first moved there, a friend of mine had a condo there, and she just called me up. It was a time of my life where all these stores were closing in Indiana. And she just out of the blue said, "Hey, do you want to go to the condo for 3 months?" And I said, "Yes." So you want to think about it? No. And where's the key? And so I went there, and I thought, if I can find a job, I'll stay. If not, I've had 3 great months, and nobody sewed in Santa Barbara. I would walk down the street with a bolt of fabric, and people would pull their cars over and get my phone number and sew for them.
Because they needed a seamstress so badly?
Yeah. I sewed for like a lot of celebrities. It was really fun.
Wow.
I know.
How long did you end up living there?
12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I would sew till like 2 o'clock in the morning and just load up on all those classes. I took pottery and sculpture, and then eventually painting, and
just for fun, or imagining that you wanted to transition and be like doing like full-time painting.
Well, I had my whole life wanted to be an artist.
Yeah.
So, and I had just put that on hold because there wasn't any time to do that. So it was just, it was like your creativity just taps you on the shoulder for so many years, and it's just like, I'm doing it. Yeah.
How had you learned how to be a seamstress?
Oh, I just taught myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of mistakes.
Do you miss working with fabric at all, or do you feel like you had your fill?
No, I love fabric.
Of it?
I'm making a quilt right now. I love fabric. And I think, and they used to ask me, because in painting class, I would bring all the drapery when there was a model, and because I had tons of it, I still do, and people would always sort of ask me how to paint fabric, because if you're
it's so challenging.
I was so familiar with it, and I love it so much. It was easy for me, but so I would give.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're like particularly good with painting fabric just from just looking at it,
because I love it. Yeah.
That's really cool, because I feel like when I look at people's paintings of interiors or something, that my eye goes right to the fabric, just because from experience I just know how hard it is, especially if it's like a pattern fabric or a stripe or something, and depicting the shadows.
That makes it even
so much
stripes are an opportunity. That's just really fun. Yeah, so
it's very impressive when you can nail
we'll
that.
get together, we'll paint fabric.
That sounds really fun. Okay, so you were in Santa Barbara for 12 years, and then did you have like a little shop, like a little tailor shop somewhere? What was your life like?
No, I just worked. I worked for decorators, and at first I worked in this store that they sold furniture and slipcovers. It was sort of the shabby chic era, and so I would work during the day and sell furniture, and then sew at night, and then paint after that.
And, wow, you were busy.
I was busy.
Are there a lot of galleries there? Is it a big art scene?
It is a pretty good art scene. The art scene, it reminds me here's how it reminds me of Savannah. There was a generosity of spirit between the artists. I mean, people would, help you with, and I'm not talking about, generosity financially, but although that was there too, but it was mostly, how did you get that color? Where did you find those canvases? People were very helpful and very generous with each other. And I find that here.
Yes, like sharing info.
Yeah. Not in Texas, not in Indiana.
Really?
I was really surprised because when this is the first place I learned to paint, excuse me, in Santa Barbara. So I thought every place would be like that.
Yeah.
And it was really surprising that it wasn't.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few minutes ago, some advice that you'd gotten from a gallery owner or a gallerist in Texas, the man who had you like divide up into your different tracks of art.
Yeah.
So you were involved somewhat in the art gallery scene in Texas?
Oh, yeah, I would enter contests. I lived in the Woodlands, which is north of Houston, but there wasn't a lot going on in the Woodlands, so I would enter shows.
Yeah.
And, there's the big show. There was this one show called the Hunter Art Prize, which was unbelievable. And they do it big in Texas.
Yeah, everything's big.
Yeah, everything's big. Yeah, so there was some great events, and I met some really wonderful people.
Yeah. But in general, you didn't feel, the culture-wise, it didn't really, it didn't hit it off for you.
No, I mean, what they say about Texas is true. Everybody has a gun. I worked at this little fancy sort of lady store, where they sold jewelry and dresses. Every employee there had a gun in their purse. And it was a safe town.
Yeah.
So, and you'd go to the grocery store and somebody would bend over and there's a gun sticking out of their belt. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what a fear-based society.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So you said you really enjoyed being in Santa Barbara, and now you're really loving Savannah, and that the two places you felt you didn't hit it off with as much were Texas and Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder. So when you were deciding to come to Savannah, is it something about, do you have to be close to the ocean? Like maybe that's psychologically there's a part of it that that hits it off for you.
No.
You have to be on a coast.
I don't know. Indiana, there's no ocean there, and they. After my mom passed, I was taking care of my mom who had dementia. And I was trying to figure out what to do, where to go. And she died like the first week of COVID when they shut everything down and you couldn't have funerals and everything. So I spent most of that year just getting her house ready to sell. And I thought I needed to move to Maine because I think it's psychological because every pandemic movie you see, everybody goes to Maine. And so I think I ended up there. And in fact,
people run away to the woods to be prepper type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they have the antidote in Maine. But in fact, everybody did move to Maine. So when I got there, there was nothing for rent, and it was freezing cold. My tires would be flat every morning because it was so cold.
Wow.
I know, and nobody was moving. Everybody was just. So I stayed there this lovely couple that. Let me stay in their apartment above their house. They lived in this gorgeous house across from the ocean. And I stayed there for 2 months, and I thought, okay, A friend of mine in Texas had once said to me that you should live in Savannah. She said, you remind me of Savannah.
Oh.
So I thought, I'm just going to go see. And I drove.
So for years, this is in the back of your mind.
Yeah. And Maine was beautiful. All the houses were white. All the people were white. There was just not a lot of diversity.
Interesting, yeah.
And I came to Savannah, and it was all these colorful houses.
Yeah.
It just lit my eyes up, and I thought, oh my God,
so
this is it. I love it.
So you drove from Maine to Savannah?
Yeah.
Did you like load your car and move here, or did you come for a visit first?
No, my car was loaded up. Yeah, because I had just left my mom's house.
You just drove to town and you were like, I'm moving there?
Yeah. Well, I had most of my things were in storage in Texas, so and some things in storage in Indiana. So it was pretty loaded. It was loaded up with canvases and paint and some clothes, and that's how I.
And when exactly? Like what time of year did you arrive here?
It was 2021 February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just the funny thing here is that the flowers are blooming at the end of February. We have such a early spring, so that would have been actually, it's not like our dead of winter. It's a nice time to be here.
No, it's beautiful, and the town was empty. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
It was still COVID.
Yeah, early 2021 would still be. Like before the vaccines came out.
Yeah, and SCAD was still closed.
So when you got to town, what did you do? Where did you go? How'd you find a place to live?
Oh, I just stayed at the Red Roof Inn for a month or two. I can't remember, but I remember when I first looked on Zillow at the rentals, there were hundreds of rentals, and I didn't realize it was because SCAD was not in town.
That'd be so interesting to arrive. Yeah, all the student type and student price of apartments would be empty. Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
It was great.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll take my time and check out neighborhoods, and then the next time I looked at Zillow, the following week, they were all gone because SCAD had come back, and I didn't realize. So then I stayed at the Red Roof Inn for a while. And which is great. They make your bed. They clean it up.
That's a good pitch for them.
It's awesome. It was awesome. One day I didn't leave, and they were worried about me. They knocked on the door to see if I was okay.
You were kind of like an old-timey boarding house. Yeah. Where you were living there.
It was. I loved it. And so then I looked on Facebook Marketplace, and this house showed up. This Robin Johnson, who was an artist and art teacher at SCAD. Yeah. She was moving out. She bought a house. And so I walked into this house, and here was her designated studio, and it was just like, oh, this is perfect. Oh, yeah. So you're seeing already set up what would be like for you? Yeah. Okay, so you've been in that same house for your whole time in Savannah. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So you arrived here, and you had your car full of paintings, and then at some point you, collected all your things from Texas and came here for real? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In Indiana. Went to both places. Oh, yeah. You had things all over the place. Yeah. I look like I have a canvas store because I would buy, when they'd have a sale on canvases in Texas, I would buy multiples. And the same in Indiana. So the combination of them. It's funny. I'll never need to buy another canvas. So when you got here and it was early 2021 and people were still at home for a while. So did you just kind of dig into your home studio and just start painting things? Yes, I did. I painted. First painting was a painting of Forsyth Park and the fountain, and then started painting shells, and did that for a while. Yeah, you have a whole. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about. You have a bunch of different sort of distinctive series. Mm-hmm. So you have this one that they're beautiful. These very they're biggish, the paintings, and so they're these extremely realistic shell in the center, and then around it are kind of swirliness. Dutch pour. Is there? Yeah. What is the name for that technique? Dutch pour or acrylic pour. Okay. Yeah. And that is, people will kind of recognize it. Can you kind of describe and I'll post photos of this too. Oh, sure. But. Well, when I was in Indiana, my brother and sister-in-law and their 2 children, my nieces, lived there. So I would have them come over once a week. We would have arts and crafts and spooky story camp at Aunt Mary Carol's house. And so I would try to find things that they could, because, one was a lot younger and that they could both do. So I researched YouTube and found that. So when we did it, they were fantastic. And theirs were great, their paintings. And so I thought, oh, it looks like water. Yeah. So that's why I put it's kind of hard to describe, but I'll post photos of it. People will recognize it right away, where it's this, it almost looks like maybe you have 2 colors of paint in there and you drag a toothpick through it or something to make these sort of peaks and waves. Or hair dryers or just to push it around. Yeah. Some of them I just took in the backyard and threw paint at it. That was fun. Yeah. That is fun. Yeah. I spent a lot during COVID. I started working bigger, and I would drag things out in the backyard and lay them flat and started pouring things too. Oh, really? It would be funny to think of how many of us really changed up the way we were working during COVID just with having room to spread out. There was the freedom there and this concentration of time where we weren't bothered by anything. It was I kind of loved it. It was interesting. I think for those of us who are introverted or who already had projects we're working on that are self-directed, it was a really interesting time for us. Yeah.
So how did you arrive at the icon of the shell? Does that mean something for you?
I think it was because I was living, I thought Hilton Head. I wanted to make a living as an artist. I thought, oh, they maybe need a shell painting above their fireplace. And so I started doing that. And then I kind of think it's because we were sort of all living in our shells back then, and it kind of fit with that.
Yeah.
But
like little hermit crabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do the background first?
Yes.
And then the shell on it?
Yeah.
Do you have to? This is getting very tangled.
Okay.
Is the background over the entire painting, and then you paint over it, or do you draw out the shell first?
I draw the shell first, and then I put a like contact paper over that part, and then
Protect it.
yeah. So I would have, because otherwise I think there'd be more texture than I wanted right there.
True.
Yeah.
Do you do? And are your pieces like a mixture of oil and acrylic?
Those are, the acrylic is the background and the shell is oil, but those are the only ones I do that. Mostly they're all oil.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like acrylic. It feels like pudding to me.
I was gonna ask, what are the aspects that you like about either of those types of paint?
Yeah. I just love oil. I love the smell of it. I love everything about it. Yeah.
Like just getting high?
Yeah.
What is it about the acrylic that makes it where the background's for that, or it's better for that?
I think you have to do the acrylic pour, you have to add either Floetrol or water to it, and you can't do that with oil. I guess you could do it with, maybe Gamsol or something, but no.
It just feels
it's
easier.
too oily. Yeah.
It
takes too long to dry.
It dries really fast,
yes.
the acrylic.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like knock out the background pretty quickly.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, it's immediate gratification there.
Do you like to work on pieces where you have a bunch going at the same time, or do you do one at a time?
No, I have to finish the one. It bothers me if it's not done. I mean, I have a couple at home that I haven't finished, and it really bothers me. It really does. I can't do that.
How many shell paintings did you do during this era?
Oh, I think I did about 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always a different shell, or did you try?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I did the front and the back of the same shell.
That's cool. So they would be little pairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. I feel like there's something there to like your front side and then your shadow side or something like that.
Ooh. You're giving me a lot of depth.
Would people buy both pieces for a shell, or were you selling?
I haven't sold any of them.
Really?
So,
okay,
no.
So they're all available?
Yeah, they're all available.
Oh.
Although there's a new interior decor, and I haven't really shown them anywhere.
Other than
I'll give
your city
myself.
market.
Yeah. So there's a new interior decorating store that's going in on the East Wharf, and they just took 6 of them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So maybe I'll sell some.
Did they find you at City Market?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did they take them to like place them in clients' houses possibly?
Well, I think she just wants to put them in her store and hopefully place them in clients' houses.
That's fabulous.
I know it. It was such a great connection. This woman, she's they're from Los Angeles, she and her husband, and she looks like California. She's just gorgeous and has just sun pouring out of her pores, out of her face. She's gorgeous and fun, and she reminded me so much of Santa Barbara. And then I went to look at her store, and I said, "Oh, okay, this is Montecito. This is Santa Barbara."
Oh, yeah.
And she laughed. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is it? I'm trying to imagine what that's like. I don't know California well. Is it a lot of like driftwood and sea glass? And
No,
like
it's
color.
Well, she has a lot of antiques and just sort of massive pieces and Persian rugs and things.
Well, that feels
like
very
that.
Savannah.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
I think
big
she's
wood
going to
furniture
combine.
and
Yeah,
rugs.
yeah, she's going to make a good combination of the two.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see it. Well, that Eastern Market area, everything there is very nice and fancy.
Yes.
So I'm sure it'll be a beautiful
It's
store.
fancy.
Yeah. Well, so I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, even though since you just started at City Market in July, and July and August are not busy, but that's great that you had somebody come through and like
I know.
take a bunch of pieces for a shop. That's
I know.
Theoretically, that's like the reason to be in somewhere like that where lots of people are coming through and seeing you, is you just never know what opportunity is going to come through.
Yeah. I'm going to trust you that that's going to keep happening.
That is. Yeah, you started at a hard time. July and August are not as busy,
It's
but
kinda
yeah,
slow.
we'll see. We'll hang on. Now
Get
it's
a
going to
lot
be fall.
done. Yeah.
I want to make a little plug that we're going to have coming up. So we decided to do this for every few months in our building, in the North building, that we're going to do this open house where a bunch of us will be there on a Sunday afternoon/evening and do a little open reception where people can come through. So this show is going to air in time for the next one we're doing, which is September 8th. Is
Yes,
that right?
Sunday night.
Sunday, September 8th. We're going to be there from 4 to 7 p.m. if you want to come through and
Yeah.
some of our little open reception.
I
This is
think
going to be
that-
our second one, and yeah, I think it's going to be a nice thing to do every few months, and it's on a Sunday. Attention, people, you don't have to pay to park on Sundays.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
And
why we're doing it.
is that new? Whoever the new person in across from me, cat-a-corner from me, he'll be there by then, hopefully.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's a few new artists. You know, you're pretty new. There's on my hallway. There's Bailey Davidson is new with his photos, and then my friend Tara Conway has collages and painting. There's a few new people to see in there.
Caroline's pretty new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots new. You have other collections of art that you've done before. I kind of wanted to ask on your website that you have a series that's called To Err is Human, and they kind of are like pop art where there's a person in the middle of the frame and then there's other imagery framing them in a symmetrical way. Can you tell us about that series?
Yeah, well, I was taking care of my mom in Indiana who had dementia, and she inspired that series. She wouldn't be happy to hear that. But she was normally a very sweet person. But the dementia is, it's very interesting. I mean, she would, there were times where she would try and kill me.
Wow.
And so I started thinking about that, just how fallible we all are. And also, she would not let anybody in the house. I usually paint from life, and she would not let me have people in the house. She didn't really want me in the house, but she was... So I found these mugshots from the 1920s online, so that's what those are. Those are all like mugshots.
That's so fascinating that it came from you thinking about your mom and the To Err is Human. That's like a really fascinating way of working through.
Thanks.
It's a complicated situation.
Thanks, yeah. I painted a couple paintings. There's one, it wasn't that series, but it's called She's Forgotten Everything. And so that's about her too. So yeah, she's inspiration for sure.
Yeah, that series. So it's mugshots from the 20s. You said. What are the different objects that are framing the people? What?
I just tried
appropriate to each mugshot.
Yeah,
kind of?
like the guy with the fist. He was a rabble rouser, so he got in fights. So I've used my brother. My brother is my best model, so that's his fist that goes around there. And then there's one with lots of arms. That woman is a pickpocket.
Wow.
So I gave her lots of arms, and chicken thief, opium dealer,
What old-timey crimes.
I know. The opium dealer was really fancy. I don't know if you've seen
I'll pause it.
And what I loved about him, and the first one I did, which was the thief, is their heads are down. You can't see their faces. And I thought, this is a mugshot? They'll never be able to recognize them.
So they would allow them to get away with that as a
Yeah,
mugshot?
because both of their heads are down.
Huh.
I know. There's what I started too. There were several transgender people back then that they called them things like sexual monstrosities. And I know.
What, like in the prison terminology about them?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was their this one guy I think he was arrested for being a horse thief, but they put him in the men's prison, and the men read it and said, no, this is a woman. So then they put him in the women's prison, and the woman said, no, we don't want a man in here. So he got out of jail.
Wow, that was the solution.
I know.
That's incredible. And which painting is that? Which person?
That was not dead yet. That's one of the ones that are tapping me on the shoulder. I think because I couldn't figure out what to do around it, but I think I'm going to do like a metamorphosis of a butterfly or a moth or something.
Yeah, like a wheel going around.
Yeah.
Are some of these pieces are in your City Market studios,
yes.
right? Okay. Yeah, this is a good plug for your studio. So you have like a few pieces from each of these different series are hanging up there. People can come by and see them.
I do. It's confusing to some people.
So these all would have been done in oil, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
All of them.
Do they do you add anything when you're doing it in oil to make it dry faster, or?
Sometimes I found out I'm not supposed to do this. I will use Gamsol as a thinner.
Yeah.
And that makes it dry faster, but it's not, I don't think it's very permanent. So I've started going back to an oil.
I just wondered, since you said you work on one piece at a time, if it's hard because you wake up the next day to go and work into a painting, but if it's still really wet, then how do you?
But I like that because I like working wet in wet. I like that, yeah. So that's fine.
Okay.
It bothers me if it dries too fast. Those water-soluble oils, those I don't like.
Yeah,
they're
it's not your
just
thing.
Sticky and nasty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long? So a piece like that has a lot of different realism elements to it. Maybe how long does that take you?
Like which ones?
Like the the To Err Is Human series?
Oh, I don't know, just different. It depends. Sometimes I'd start on something without really knowing how it was going to end. So some of those take a little longer.
Did you work them out?
Yeah.
I do that too. I do that way as well, where I'll start and have part of it mapped out, and then as I go on, there's other elements I want to add, and then it becomes like a tricky brain situation to work out, how do I make this fit in given what I've already drawn in here.
Yeah, so but that's the fun of it, isn't it? I
kind of like doing that to myself.
It's kind of like the roller coaster ride of being an artist. Yeah.
So a lot of mine, as they go on, maybe toward the end, there's a lot of time of just sitting like thinking about it and not actually working on it, because it's like having to work out how to finish it.
Yeah.
I
do that too. I had a great teacher and mentor in California, Rick Stitch, and I have his picture in my studio, and if I get stuck, I'll ask him.
Really?
What do I do now, Rick?
You mean like you ask the picture, or do you literally ask him?
No, I ask his picture.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to bother him. Yeah.
You have his voice in your head.
Yeah.
That's so sweet. You should let him know.
I should.
I bet he'd be
I
so
owe
happy
him
to hear
so
that.
much. I feel like
Teachers always want to hear that they made that big of a difference to people. I bet he'd really like it if you...
I should. I want to make him a quilt. He loved Hawaiian quilts, and he loved... Because I make Hawaiian quilts. And he loved all my quilts. I would bring him in sometimes for backdrops, for paintings, for class. So I keep thinking, I got to make him a quilt.
Is that a special type of quilt, a Hawaiian quilt?
It is. It's just two different colors. It's kind of abstract. They usually have natural elements in there, like pomegranates or things. So yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know a lot about quilting or fabric work in general, so I've never heard that term.
Oh, okay. Do
your hands hurt at all at this point from years and years of seamstressing?
No, they're really strong.
That's great.
Yeah. I took one of the first classes I took in Santa Barbara at that school was pottery, and the teacher was like, "Oh, your hands are really strong." Yeah,
interesting.
I know.
You could really mold those pots.
Yeah, they were horrible. I was terrible at it, but
What was the name of that school? This sounds so fascinating.
It was just the Santa Barbara.
Is there just sort of one main?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just sort of a continuing education thing.
Wow.
It's not there anymore.
It's not?
No.
Oh my God, because you were selling it to me. I was getting ready to
move,
ditch my life and go there.
No, it's not there. During the economic downturn, they'd gotten a new director, and she, before the economic downturn, had invested all of this money that was, I think this is the story I was told, that was, donated, and it just all went away. So,
oh my God.
It's not. And they have now. It's an adult education school, and it's just like anywhere where it's $200-$300 to take a class.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, is it just that they could not survive with only charging each person $10 a class?
No, I just think she just lost all that money, and I think, I know.
That's awful.
It was sad. I know.
Well, that's a sad end to this story about this school in Santa Barbara.
I know.
You were selling it so hard.
It is sad. Oh, I should have said that to start it.
Yeah, I think all of us
were dialing,
packing our bags. Let's see. Okay, there's another series you have that I saw on your website called Legacy Series of some famous figures. Can you talk about that one a little bit?
That one I started, for some reason I kept thinking of, as an artist, you have these ideas that are just always sort of tapping you on the shoulder. And for some reason I wanted to paint Mao with flowers on him. And so I got his biography and was reading about it. And one of the things, he was very poetic for such an evil person. And and he said, "Let 100 flowers bloom." It was one of his quotes.
What did that refer to for him?
Oh, it was just in one of his speeches. I think, I'm sure he wasn't being honest, but it was let 100 flowers bloom, let 100 schools of thought contend. And so I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I was, just thinking about flowers. So I painted flowers all over him, and I painted a dragon in the background, and I painted one hand out, like it's giving, and then everybody else's hands was hidden. So then I thought, okay, this is a series. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to name it after one of the quotes. So then I did Lincoln. And Lincoln was, that was one of those, they all were kind of, I started without knowing where they were going to go. And so I'm painting Lincoln, and I thought he kind of looks like a crow, so I painted all these crows sort of fighting around him.
It's very beautiful, that piece.
Thanks.
And the design of the other elements around the piece.
Oh, thanks. And then again, I used my brother's hands to do these Buddhist mudras, which one means manifest destiny, the other one means putting the cosmic law of righteousness in order. And so I know it's funny that people, when they see it, sometimes they think Jim Crow. That is what I meant by his legacy, which kind of was part of it, I guess.
Too.
Yeah, but to me, it meant brother against brother, and fighting politicians, and just the chaos of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, his son died, his wife is a little loco, and so that's what that means.
Wow.
So, and then I did Mother Teresa, and I named that one "We Are Not Enemies," and it seems really current.
The Lincoln one or the Mother Teresa?
The Lincoln one.
Okay.
Yeah. Today even. And so I did Mother Teresa. I did Jonas Salk. I did.
What are the elements around Jonas?
Jonas Salk, my brother, again, my model, and I just put Jonas's face on his body. But I made a coat. I made some fabric with hundreds of running children, and I actually had the fabric printed, and I made it in a coat, and I had my brother wear it. So that, and the wallpaper behind him, running children. So that was his legacy.
And what year did you do that one? Was that?
That was when I was in Indiana. I'm really bad with years.
Because that feels like, that could be really timely just about vaccinations and things in general. So that's interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It was before COVID.
Yeah.
And then I had like the monkeys that he tested that vaccine. He tested it on children too. And I was going to put them in the picture, but I thought that's a little dark. And but I put monkeys underneath the table, and then that's titled "Are We Being Good Ancestors?" So
I like how many just the different objects that you put in, like you said, even with one hand reaching out and one hand behind the back, just how much symbolism there is to everything. And I love a thing with where the title is a little bit abstracted and like conceptual too.
Oh,
it's very cool.
Thank you.
Are those pieces sort of bigger than some of the other
They
ones
are
you do?
bigger. Madame Curie is really big.
Yeah.
She's got, I didn't know what to do for her legacy, so, because I thought it's kind of good and kind of evil, so I did snakes and angels.
What is the evil part of her legacy?
The bomb. Kind of a bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're doing these, will you work on just like one series of things for a while and then you move on to a different series, or are you sort of always picking from different things?
I do. Well, I just went back to my Bright Spots for a Wartime Meal series, which was sort of the first paintings that I ever did in Santa Barbara. And because Peter Roberts had a show called Sugar Sugar, and he'd heard I'd done some Jell-O mold paintings, so I thought, I'll reprise that. That was fun. I love painting those.
That's so nice. When was that show? Was that
a couple months ago?
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a few pieces in that?
I had 3 pieces.
Was that one where it's a bunch of artists and everybody, it's like around a theme?
Yeah.
So you had some Jell-O mold paintings?
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I love his model of the gallery where he has a certain theme and then everybody...
Yeah, I do too. He does such a good job. His show that he has up now is really great. I love it.
Yeah. That's very cool. What have you been in other group shows around in Savannah? Was that kind of your first?
That was my first one.
That's great.
Yeah.
Had he found you and he reached out to you?
Well, he just lives a block away from me.
Oh.
And I was kind of obnoxious when I found out that he owned that gallery. I would be walking past him, and I think one day he was coming back from Sam's Club or something that has arms filled with, paper towels, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm an artist." And I'm sure he gets that all the time, and he just kind of was very polite and okay.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, Michelle Perez, told him about the Jell-O molds, and he came by my house and saw my work. Yeah.
That's great. So you wore him down.
Yeah, I did.
Well, that sounds perfect.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I know you get this a lot.
That's so great. Let's talk a little bit about the screen printing style that you do with making. So you talked about how to burn the screens, and then you make them into t-shirts and prints, I guess, to sell. Okay. And those you work on in your home?
Yes.
Because I guess just of the space required and the messiness.
Water. Yeah, I need a lot of water to rinse the screens off. And
How is it that are you making the t-shirts yourself, or you get them?
I am. Oh,
how does that go?
Printing the t-shirts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a real primitive screen printer. I've self-taught YouTube again, like I was with cyanotypes, and so I can't do multiple colors. I mean, I've tried, it's just not right, and so I just usually, for the prints, I'll screen print the black and then hand paint the colors in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with the t-shirts, I've always thought about this too. People are always suggesting like, "Oh, get this printed on t-shirts," and I'm like, then you have to worry about sizes.
Yes.
Like you have to keep everything in stock. How does that go for you?
It's horrible, and I have to like haul those to the park, back and forth, and it's a lot of work. They're heavy. And people, when you're there at the park, they'll say, "Oh, I like this one, but do you have it in a different color?"
Exactly.
And I think, no. But
they're always going to ask for the one thing you don't have.
Yeah. But, I'll do special orders.
Well, I guess you must be selling enough of them to keep going and to keep dragging them to the park.
Exactly, yeah.
What days, are there certain days of the week that you go to the park versus going to City Market?
Just Saturday. It used to be, I usually would have gone today because it's a 3-day weekend.
Okay.
But
today's Sunday, Labor Day. So.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Just Saturdays because of the farmers market.
Yeah.
There are a lot of artists out there. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's within the last couple of years that there's that many artists who are selling there. Even just a few years ago, it was just a few people scattered through. So it's really,
I remember,
Turner, yeah.
I remember when I came, and it was probably, I'm sure, because of COVID, but I remember walking through there and thinking, oh my gosh, this could be so much better than, I think there was just one or two artists out there. And I thought,
I think there were guidelines of like how close together you could, so they were keeping it limited where there wouldn't be an artist at every single space. You just couldn't have that many people.
You're still trying to do that, yeah.
What, is there a certain area that you always try to go to sell to, or are you moving around?
No, I have a little spot, but if I don't get there early enough, I'll have to find another little spot.
Yeah, so I'm trying to let people know where they can find you on Saturdays.
I'm in between the fountain and the sidewalk, the Collins Quarters sidewalk. I'm sort of right in the middle.
Got it.
Yeah.
A nice shady
by the park
area.
bench. So musicians they'll sit next to me and sing, and it's just lovely. I love it. I love all those people down there. I'm again a hermit, a happy hermit, so that's sort of my socializing.
Yeah,
I get it all out in one day.
Of socializing.
Yeah.
I lived in New York for 7 years, and toward the end I would do that thing where you would drag your stuff into Central Park.
Oh,
and
really?
There's one particular stretch of Central Park that you could sell that looks a lot like this area of Forsyth Park, where it's like one straight sidewalk and it's framed by trees.
Oh, wow.
I want to say it was called Poets Walk is the section of the park. And so I had 2 friends, and we would go most days and go and sell in Central Park. And
did you have to pay? Did you have
No.
You could just
wow. You can do, in New York, you can sell on sidewalks if you're selling either art or secondhand books.
Oh, okay.
It's just those specific, it's just things that are basically cultural
How
things.
nice.
So I think not even technically, not even jewelry or other things you make. It has to be like fine art or secondhand books. But the exception is you could get a permit to sell other things if you were like an Army veteran.
Oh,
it's
nice.
very specific. But yeah, so anyway, so I would be in this one particular section of the park selling my art, and I had 2 other friends who would go and sell too. And that's a tough way to do it. It's a tough racket. I would say here, it's like you can drive your things there.
Yes.
And then walk it from your car. But yeah, in New York, you were carrying everything around in one of those like little laundry carts.
Did you have to go like on a subway?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had to put my things into a little laundry cart and take the subway.
Oh my gosh.
It was very hard.
My nephew is a jazz musician. He and his wife, they're incredible. And he plays the stand-up bass. And they're often
the
pictures of him on the subway trying to get his stand-up bass.
You have to work shockingly hard physically there to be everybody that you see in public doing something or selling something. That person worked really hard just to arrive at where they are.
Yeah.
But I would always hear these stories of back in the heyday, like in the 70s and 80s, where people would be, setting up on their table in Soho or something, and just how much you were selling and how well all the artists are doing and how much people bought art, and everything that I heard in the years that I lived there was just how much better it used to be and how much people used to buy more art and how it's so hard now. And
glory days.
So you were always feeling I just always felt like I had missed the boat, and that now at this era that I happened to be alive in, things were just so much harder than they used to be.
Yeah, I have those feelings too sometimes. I do.
But I wonder, in Forsyth Park, it seems like maybe this is like, just because there's so many artists there, and as time goes on, the farmers market is so booming, like that maybe this is the best time to be selling there.
Maybe. It's been really slow.
Okay.
Like the farmers market. But there are days, though, the last couple Saturdays have not been good. But then I just think, oh my gosh,
I think that's just August. The little kids have gone back to school, so
exactly.
the tourists with kids are not here.
Exactly. And we're waiting for the students because I love the students. The crowd is really dull without the students, and then when they come and they all have this wild fashion, and they're just so gorgeous and fun and happy, and I love it. So they'll be back, I think, next week.
Yeah, they'll be back really soon.
So we'll have, if we don't sell anything, we'll have something to look at.
I felt like, the craft shows that I do around town, the SCAD students, I'm always like very heartened by these young, like college age kids who totally buy cards and prints to hang up. And it's really sweet. Like they could be spending their money on anything. It's very cool when they're buying each other's art.
They do. And they all have new little apartments and they want to decorate. Yeah. So I just love that. It's a compliment to think that somebody wants to put your artwork on their wall.
Yeah.
And then you become friends with them and they come back and they talk.
Sweet.
I hired one as a model.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have your brother's hands.
I didn't.
You need somebody else's.
No, I think of myself as a figurative artist, but sometimes I'll go for a long time and I hate that. It really bothers me lately. And even though I just started a landscape, I really want to be painting figures.
Yeah.
So I hired this woman. She was gorgeous, Mary Rose Brown. She's gorgeous, wonderful singer. And so she came and I took a bunch of pictures of her. Yeah.
What are the paintings that is there something you're working on right now
I did start one of hers. It was one of those that I didn't know where it was going, and I maybe still don't know where it's going. So it's after telling you that I always finish my paintings, that one's not finished.
Okay.
It's sitting there, yeah.
How much do you like doing social media for your art?
Oh, I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you just do like as little as possible?
As little. I for a while. I mean, during COVID, I was like ridiculous with it because that was my only contact. Especially after my mom passed, it was really the only contact. At all. But there's just something about it that the way I was, since I'm so much older. We were raised not to really toot your own horn and brag about yourself, and that's all social media is. So it's really, it feels unnatural and uncomfortable. So lately I've been trying to promote other people because that feels easier.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Do people have a way to buy things off your website?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm really, again,
they have to message you and you'll work it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to do that. I need to figure out how to monetize it. I think mostly it's and plus I can't even figure out how to get back on it right now to update it. So it's
oh my God.
Really outdated. I know. I'm so bad about that stuff. I don't know anything about it.
I will say, so your website, it shows lots and lots of your art on there. Like it's a really good portfolio site. But on the about page, it's not up to date.
No,
clearly.
No. None of my prints are on there. None of my latest paintings are on there.
Okay.
Instagram is really where I put the later, the newer things. So and people can message me, but they don't. I've never sold anything on Instagram. I have on Facebook.
How are you? So you mentioned that during COVID you were selling a lot of art. How was that working for you?
Oh, that was great.
But was that through Instagram or?
It was Instagram or Facebook. Well, it wasn't Instagram because no, that doesn't seem to work very well. But
you would post on Facebook.
On Facebook,
Okay.
Yeah, there would kind of be bidding wars sometimes. That was really fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that for those 2020 and 2021 that online sales, it was huge because people were home and they were looking at their walls, and then they started working from home and people were investing in art. It was a cool era.
Yeah, it was.
Do you also sell at that slam show that happens?
I went there once.
A year, I think. Okay.
In Gordonston. I'm going to be in Gordonston. I'm going to be at Isle of Hope.
When will that be? The Gordonston.
I think Gordonston. I should have looked. I think it's at the end of September.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
People
I want to say the 28th. Yeah. And then the Isle of Hope, which I've never been in before, I entered that.
That is
that'll be
packed.
fun.
Yeah.
Is that more for paintings? Because I took a lot of paintings to Gordonston, but just sold prints and T-shirts.
I always, when I did the Isle of Hope show, I would bring some paintings too to display, but what I would sell would be prints. So bring both.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
And I would say bring your, if it's not too crazy for you, then bring your T-shirts too,
Oh,
because there'll be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
How have you found selling in art shows, like the whole like buying a tent and then learning how to display your stuff? How has that gone for you?
Yeah, well, Gordonston was the first time I did that, and I debated whether I should buy a tent, and then I thought, is that me? Am I that person now? Am I art show person now?
Yeah.
And so my friend Betsy, because I have a tiny little car, so she helped me set the tent up, and now she got into Gordonston, so we're going to share the tent, and it was fine. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I wish it was a 2-day show. Yeah, but it was fun. I did
always
really
like
well.
sharing a space too.
Yeah,
and that's nice.
Yeah,
you feel like you don't have to bring so much. And you haven't invested so much money in the entry fee,
right?
And then also you can like run to the bathroom and someone's there. There's so many things. There's so many aspects to these art shows.
Yeah, and Gordonston's, they treat art. I mean, after being in the park, where you have to wait for, half an hour to 45 minutes just to go to the restroom, in Gordonston, the artists have their own private restroom, and
nice.
The people take such good care when they bring you food, and it's like
that's very nice. Yeah. That's a good one. I love, it's kind of amazing how the, like, gamut as far as how much, like, that the actual fair is going around and, like, taking care of the artists and doing the street. It really runs the gamut of how, careful they are. Whereas some of them, they might have volunteers there who come around and offer to, like, sit and watch your booth for a while if you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really sweet.
It is sweet.
Okay, so people can keep an eye out for you at the Gordonston show and then the Isle of Hope show. And... So Saturdays they can find you in the park, and then are there is it set days of the week that you go to City Market, or
right now because it's so slow, I'm there on Sundays and Mondays and Fridays. But if it starts to get busier, I'm gonna. Plus, since I'm painting there now, I didn't paint for the first month. I was just trying to organize, and
so now you'll be there more.
Now that I have a cave that I built for myself, I'll just
and all of us in City Market. For people wondering, when you go there, even if like the particular artist isn't there, I think all of us basically have like a bin of things out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it's like this honor system where you buy things by Venmo, so people can come by and see your work and flip through your prints, even if you personally are not there.
Right. Have our little QR code there.
All the technology. What is coming up for you? Any like new paintings that we should keep an eye out for, or new directions you want to go in?
I'm just right now. Like I said, I've never painted with a palette knife, so I'm painting a landscape, and I thought I would try with a palette knife.
Nice.
It's kind of fun. It's like a little combination of sculpture and painting, and I love sculpture. That's how I started out.
So, you can make things really thick and impasto if you want.
Yeah.
Little, like points coming off if you wanted.
Yeah, I ran out of white paint already, so today that's
you're gonna have to buy it.
I have to go buy it.
Yeah. What is the landscape of?
I don't know if you're supposed to do this. I took a picture. I love nature shows on television. That's my comfort food. And so there's this wonderful show called A World of Calm on Max, and it's the most beautiful. I mean, animals aren't eating each other in this show, so it's really calm. It's beautiful. And they had the most beautiful shots. The cinematography's unbelievable. So I was watching one night. I have a TV in my bedroom, so I'm sitting up in bed, and it's like, whoa. So I started taking pictures with my phone. So I'm painting one of those.
That sounds great.
From television.
Why not?
Yeah. It's just sort of I'm not even sure what it is. I think it's kind of like tide pools, and although they look like there's some trees, I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it in Hawaii? Do you know where
I don't even remember where it was. They don't even tell you where it is. It's just beautiful pictures. Yeah.
So it's going to be a water scene.
Yeah, some water, a little land.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for that painting.
All right.
Come by and see you chipping away at that with your palette knife.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's been so lovely to talk to you, Mary Carol.
Thanks, Tamara. It was a real honor.
Welcome to Savannah. You've been here for 3 years. So you're settling in.
Thank you. I love it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Savannah, we just need people who love being here and like you said, are such champions and like recognize with the art community, with people sharing information and things. I'm glad you brought that up because I always feel like that too.
It's true. Great community of artists here.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This has been Mary Carol Kenney. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tamara.
And I will post photos of your work. And then, if people are around on Sunday, September 8th from 4 to 7 p.m., you can come to City Market to our open house.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.